Good evening. Hammond City Council Public Hearing Agenda, January 24th, 2023, 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Diviterio.
Present.
Councilman Andrews.
Present.
Councilman Leon.
Present.
Councilman Wells.
Present.
Public hearing, item number 1.
An ordinance to extend the moratorium on the acceptance and processing of subdivision plots, site development plans, or zoning amendments for multifamily housing within the city of Hammond for an additional 180 days. Councilman Diviterio.
Yeah, this is for the extension. We had one in place, and we had another extension, a 3-month extension. This is a 180 days extension. We had a housing study being done that, to make it clear, they did not mandate or ask us to have a moratorium or any affiliation with it. It was done at a good process just to have a pause while the results come back from that on gathering some data. That was a fraction of what should be looked at and going on right now. We have a lot of sewer issues that are being worked on throughout the city, and we should have the results back from that study that's looking at code enforcement, city planner recommendations, and different other proposals that we need to look at, zoning densities. And so it's just a combination of data we're looking at right now. Is anybody in here tonight to speak about the extension?
Step to the microphone, please. Give us your name and address.
So my name is Alexander Champagne. I'm 901 East Pecan Street. I wanted to speak. I'm a realtor that works under Clay Relly. I'm speaking on behalf of allowing small multifamily units. We speak about this pretty often. I'm really just pleading the case for it to be lifted for just building a duplex. The main defense that we had, or main thing we wanted to bring up was, we wanted to just plead for at least trying to get it to where it can allow a fourplex or a quad. The reason being is, Southeastern is designated a military-friendly school for the 10th time in a row. And people can qualify for VA loans, FHA loans, and can live in those specific units after they've been built or whatever the case may be built or be. And right now we understand, we can oversaturate the market with the larger complexes, but at the same time, we don't want to penalize those that can use it to grow individually. I
wanted to give you a little information on that. You can do it. You can apply for a variance. That's one thing. That's another option. Secondly, just to give you a little more information on it, it did not include mixed-use commercial and residential developments. That was as long as 50-50. That wasn't a moratorium, and then it was 3 or more. So a duplex can be built as of right now. Right now. Now, if you got to 4, there would be an issue, but. I started working with Andre a little bit over a couple weeks, looking at that on maybe some UDC changes possibly to propose that might look at, because I really think that should have probably been written in our UDC as 4, like more than 4, because a fourplex can be bought by owner occupant to live in it and everything else. So exactly. I don't really know if that was really. It couldn't be modified a little bit on that, so where it's 4, anything over 4 instead of 3, how it's written right now. Andre, did you want to confirm that it is, it written in there as 3 units or more?
Is the
definition of multifamily in the UDC right now?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
3
okay.
or more.
Yeah. And I found, I was looking at that the other day, and I thought that, maybe looking at revising that, maybe introducing that at some point in time, which there was a few other ones that I started working with him on that. But something like somebody is looking at a 4 or 6 unit or whatnot, not guaranteed, but there are variances that you can apply for to get the approval. That's really not a real big impact as some of these developments that are 50+ to the communities, what the infrastructure issues and density and different zoning, how the city's changing, so.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to kind
Yeah.
of like just go upon, even bumping it to 4 because of those individuals who can do the single occupant, and then rent out the other units. That is also something that would also benefit the community as well.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm here to voice.
Thank you.
That's all.
Andre, I just have a question for clarification there. So is that something that could be left, like removed from the current moratorium? Or
The moratorium could be for whatever development.
whatever
you
number we want to establish?
Yes. So it doesn't have to be 3 or more. You can only extend the moratorium to larger type developments.
Well, the reason when I discussed with Andre, he recommended to stay in lines of what the UDC had on there, so it didn't deviate so much from what was already written on there. That's kind of why I was at the 3, which I was looking at it the other day, and I thought, and I started a very premature conversation with Andre on that was one of the things that I was going to try to circle around to see if that would be something that could be looked at on the UDC, changing that from here on out to at least 4 in generally, because I think it should have been written with 4+, because a 4-plex is commonly used for owner occupant to live in one unit, rent other units out or whatnot. So when I think from the people in my district, the main concerns and the main issues they were having were these large developments putting a lot of strain and concerns on the infrastructure of the city. And so this isn't to stop development and across the city. It's to protect the values and quality of life of the residents that live in Hammond. And so, that's where we were going here with this. Where I was going with this was proposing this was a pause. We had a lot coming in at one time, and I still have steady calls about sewer backing up on Christmas, on New Year's Eve, and in my district, and so they're still doing sewer improvements throughout Rosewood area in my district that they started on that isn't going to happen overnight. So there's a lot of issues, and I sent an email to the administration a while back, outlining some things with the city planner. We had very, very short period of time, and then I assumed we were going to have another one, and we never picked back up on looking at some possible improvements to impacting the large developments coming here. So hopefully we can get back on page and get some improvements done that would help the process on improving our city. So
if I just want to be clear
Yeah.
on the process, since this is under the planning and zoning right now. So if they were to come and apply for a variance request to do, for instance, a 4-plex, then they would go through the regular variance process, which is going through planning and zoning, the same advertising and all that kind of stuff. But then instead of finishing at planning and zoning, because this is a specific moratorium here in the council, they're then going to come to the council approval like a zoning application would.
Yes, under the
That's what I
moratorium,
wanna
the
make sure
variance
I'm
has to come back to the council
Crystal
for
clear
final
on.
approval.
Yeah, so it's about a 3-month process to get a variance to do the 4-plex.
it's a little process, yep.
Yeah, but let me chime in on this here. The second meeting that we had on this here, and it was brought up, I actually mentioned it, about it's not to stop the 3-plex, the triplex and the 4-plex. It wasn't never for that, It was for 4 more. And I'm saying I mentioned this the second meeting that we had on this. So, but it's amazing though how we still don't have a clear understanding. Cause like the gentleman said, if you go to the building permit office, it should have been known that it wasn't to stop a triplex or a 4-plex. It was dealing 4 or more. And I mentioned that in the meeting because I think we had it all wrote down. Because a lot of locals build 4-plex. A lot of locals build triplex and duplex. To be exact, we had a duplex built on Mooney Avenue. So it wasn't to stop none of that. It was to building 4 or more units on a piece of property. So that was the whole idea. It wasn't for that. So a lot of locals, and that's why you really need to go to the permit office yourself and see exactly what's going on, because it's so messed up, you know. I don't like the 3 months at a time, you know. Just do it for a half a year, do it for a year, because the whole idea, we just don't want to crowd the city with all these high-rise buildings coming in and not knowing what's going on, because yes, we definitely have an issue with the sewer, you know. Be exact, every time it rains, like right now, they calling me about the sewer, and I stay on Mooney Avenue. I can't flush my toilet when it rains. So that's one of the problems. That's one of the things that I'm afraid of as of right now, you know. So I just like for us to have better control, and anything out there, please go to the permit office and ask questions. That's the only way you're gonna know. You can't go to June or John and talk to them. Go to the permit office and find out yourself exactly what the rules are.
And just to make it clear, you can build a duplex or a triplex right now.
Not a fourplex.
Not a
correct.
not a fourplex, but a double, a triplex can be built as of right now how it lies. Now, you know, so yeah, so that's how it reads right now, so. Yeah.
So I represent 7 different individuals who live off of Whitmore Drive. I'm actually listing 7 current lots. When my represented buyer purchased property, went to zoning, and we asked what we could do with property that was already zoned multifamily, they were informed that they could only build a duplex due to the moratorium.
A triplex, they can do a triplex or a double.
They actually informed us we can only do a duplex. So he actually completed construction doing a duplex because of the moratorium that was in effect.
Andre, can you clarify that? You should be able to do a triplex if it's less than 4 units, correct?
It's 3 or more contiguous 2-family or duplex dwellings. You can have 2 duplexes.
Yeah, or
And
a
have 3
triplex.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying, a triplex or 2 doubles.
Okay. So,
You
yeah,
can do
I just
that,
wanted
yeah.
to make sure to specify, because as they
So I-
told them they can only build a dupe.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It might be more of a miscommunication issue there on what's going on. But yeah, no, that's how it is written, yeah.
But you yourself, sir, have you ever been to the permit office to see?
Yes, sir.
And what they told you?
I actually was dealing with the development of the Beechwood subdivision that isn't correctly installed and put into city limits. So right now, technically, you can build all the way up to a 5-plex on it. That's what it's zoned for. But whenever we went and got all of the documentation and emails per the city planning, they were only allowed to build a duplex, and that's what was informed of my client. So I wanted to just make sure to bring that up.
Now, was that lot only zoned for a duplex? Was that the maximum or
sir.
that you could fit on there?
A 5-plex.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
I just
sir.
want to make sure that wasn't, what they were saying was that you can only fit a duplex or something.
No, sir, and yeah, we did go to the city planning right down the
Okay.
street that way, and that's what was relayed, as well as the moratorium that was sent to
Yeah.
our email as well.
But yeah, but that's what it is, and we'll send you a copy of it too. I mean, if,
too.
you can read it in detail, so.
That sounds good, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Anyone else from the public on this matter?
I would like to address it. So I previously I voted against extending it, and again, I think we still have cause that it shouldn't be extended for a couple of reasons. One, as we sit here, we say, well, we didn't mean to not allow a 4-plex, so we should allow a 4-plex. Well, if we extend it here, then that doesn't allow that. So we've just set up here, people want a 4-plex, we think we should have a 4-plex, but if we extend the moratorium as written, that would be prohibited. Also, I've had members of the community, speaking out in favor of the moratorium. For example, someone who lived in Lakewood subdivision telling me, the moratorium is good because we don't want a subdivision behind our current subdivision. And I told him, I said, that is not at all what this moratorium is. I think the general public doesn't understand that passing this moratorium or continuing to pass this moratorium doesn't stop a builder from coming in and putting a subdivision. It doesn't have much to do with single-family homes and whether you want something where you live or not. I think there's a lot of confusion about the moratorium. It sounds like there's confusion up here even as the council is discussing it. And so I think it's not appropriate to continuously extend it. I've had builders reach out to me and say they are against it. And I don't think we have a good reason to say we're just going to continue to stop construction here without fully being able to explain why, in my opinion. And additionally, I think that one of the things we've heard up here when discussing the moratorium is that there's a housing committee consultant who's putting information together about infrastructure and zoning and which we should or shouldn't be doing. I listened to their meeting where they reported what they plan to give us in their findings. It doesn't have to do with sewage. They're not doing a survey of our sewage. Their infrastructure means sidewalks and street lighting. It's very different than the infrastructure that we're citing in the reason in the moratorium. And they are not, from my understanding, telling us much about multifamily and whether it's appropriate or not. It has more to do with adjudicated property and putting property back into commerce. So I think they're very different goals of this moratorium versus the housing committee consultant. And things are just not matching up, so I don't think it's appropriate to continuously extend this.
Yeah, the consultant, I don't think was ever constructed that they were working on sewer issues. We do have several surveys going on right now of sewer lines right now throughout the city, looking at sewer lines that have leaks in them, drain lines, storm drains running into the sewer lines and different things that are big problems to our sewer infrastructure. That's another ongoing construction right now throughout the city. That's not going to happen overnight. And then the consultant is going to speak about different code enforcement issues that also would go in place with multifamily, big, large developments, lighting, like you said, sidewalks, density, blight, different other issues that have data in there that calls for areas that may need some attention. That's a fraction of the data. The other parts are we have a problem with sewer and drainage issues throughout the city right now, and so that needs to be fixed, and you have to put a pause. You can't work on a boat with a hull leak on it, on the bottom of it, in the water. You got to take it out, stop for a second, and get it fixed before you put it back in. So we need a pause, and that's where it was at right now. I emailed the city. We don't have a city planner. We haven't had a city planner in 12 months or whatnot. So those discussions and meetings usually would go with a city planner of a city our size and try to go over some things with them with planning and zoning. So didn't get much reaction from when I sent the email 6 months ago to the administration, looking at some issues that we need to look at. So now taking a little more aggressive role with it and meeting with Andre, trying to get some things together to look at some improvements, to upgrade some of the developments that are going to be coming into Hammond at some point in time. How many applications have we had for large multifamily or multifamily in general here lately, last 6 months? How many
Haven't
applications?
had any applications, because when they call to ask if they can build a apartment complex, we say there's a moratorium.
Okay.
So we haven't had any.
'Cause I haven't
applications.
received any.
We've had a few phone calls, probably 5 maybe, over the last year.
But nobody's tried to fill out a variance or tried to do anything with
No.
it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's difficult for a staff person to encourage them to go down that if they're a larger complex.
We do it every day. We got
Knowing-
100 variances come through daily with mobile homes.
No, we don't
Daily
have
variances. We get variances on the planning and zoning all the time that aren't real hardships. And we get them all the time. That's why we have a mobile home meeting we're going to have. And then it is a month because we're having abundance of mobile homes coming in the city and allowing variances all over the place. So there's variances that come about all the time.
I wasn't trying to say that there weren't variances. What I was saying was it's difficult to tell someone to go through a process that inevitably is going to come before a city council that's probably going to end with a not right now because we've paused waiting for these other things to happen. So we explain all the options but they have not made an application to put in a variance, to go through the advertising, to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then to come before the city council.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not in favor of extending this moratorium. We've had this moratorium in place since last February, almost a year. You know, what have we accomplished? It has been mentioned time and time again that we're waiting on the Housing Committee and the consultant study. They have said time and time again, this was not part of their scope of work. We are not going to get any recommendations from the Housing Committee or from the consultant, specific recommendations as it relates to multifamily housing on virgin property. It's not going to happen. They were very clear about that. What I do believe now, on the sewer, we continue to talk about the sewer. We've been talking about the sewer forever. It's my understanding the city's approved over $10 million for us to fix the infrastructure on the sewer. No, it won't happen overnight, but we need to quit talking about that. That's in place. That's going to happen. You know, that's going to happen. What needs to happen, if we really want to have a discussion about multifamily housing, large complexes, fourplexes, eightplexes, or whatever they may be, this needs to come out of planning and zoning. Planning and zoning, the city council, and the administration need to get together and iron this out. It don't take 6 months. It don't take a moratorium. It takes a simple couple of meetings. We have a meeting set up. We have a meeting that is set up next week to discuss manufactured homes with planning and zoning. There's no reason why we can't begin discussion on how we can change zoning to address some of these issues. You know, and again, I've heard from constituents, oh, I don't want a 500 bed apartment in my backyard. Well, the moratorium's not stopping all of that. You know, it's stifling the city is what it's doing. We need to move forward and grow. There's fourplexes, there's eightplexes, there's smaller units that developers, that investors want to do in the right area. Planning and zoning is going to review it. The council is going to approve it or not approve it. They'll look at infrastructure. They'll look at traffic flow. They'll look at these things as these developments come up. But to sit here and say, well, let's not do nothing for another 6 months, well, that's a year and a half that we don't do nothing. And who's to say, because I haven't seen any bulleted outline plan with outcomes that we're going to get in 6 months. Who's to say we could be right back where we are today 6 months from now?
Well, the infrastructure is being improved right now, but if you had 1,500 more apartments being approved and built while the sewer is being worked on right now, there'd be a problem. Your sewage may not back up at your house. I don't know. Did yours back up during Christmas or any last storm, Steve?
Sam,
Okay,
it's not the point.
so there's a point. So until things are done, we're trying to raise a higher standard of the bar of developing in the city of Hammond. We're trying to have a better life for everybody who lives in here. So therefore, it needs to be paused until the infrastructure. If it takes, I hope it takes sooner than 6 months. But I'm looking at a UDC now because I haven't gotten any motivation when I sent an email a while back, and we haven't had a city planner since then. Do you know we don't have a city planner right now? So that's an important role of a city our size, to talk with, discuss, and look at things. And you put a pause, and you hopefully some of the infrastructure is improved in 6 months right now, enough to where things are moving, and the standards and some modification amendments are being made to the UDC that would help protect the values and the livelihood and the living conditions for the city of Hammond that lives here. Just like Woodbridge in your district has continued to flood worse now. Large development came in behind there. There's things that need to be looked at, infrastructure and drainage, and improved. Master plans, that's another thing that they're supposed to make a recommendation on a master plan. I think it's supposed to be looked at every 5 years. It hadn't been looked at, out of my knowledge, since 2011. Maybe it has. Things like that are important, and this is not stopping growth. This is not shutting down growth. This is not stopping Hammond from growing. You can do duplexes. The guy didn't even know that you could do a duplex that came up here. Now he knows. So that was some misinformation that went along, I don't know how or where. You could put 2 duplexes, that's 4. But that is a little issue there that needs to be done, but that doesn't happen quick. We're gonna have to introduce these changes, amendments, circle it around the council and change, and hopefully we can get it done in 6 months. But that's all I have to say about that. But that is not stopping growth right now from trying to better the city and having smart growth. If there's a problem, putting a pause, stopping for a second, getting it working out and try to fix it instead of just continuing. It's not going to fix itself.
I'll just say that when we put this February 8th, 2022, I don't know this for sure, but I'd be willing to bet, it says in there, we got to do this while they do their study. We need it this long because their study's going to take that long. And we said, I know it was said in that meeting, I don't want to be at the end of whatever date that was, 180 days, with nothing done. We're almost 365 days from that time, and literally nothing is done. If we need changes to the UDC, we can present those. If you want to allow 4plexes, well, this moratorium doesn't mention that. If you want to stop 20plexes, well, it should say that. It shouldn't say every triplex and over, or over a triplex. If it's apartment buildings, we'll say that. Don't, this is too broad.
That was the way it was written, like how the
But
UDC had it and how it was
and we keep
recommended by
continuing the
Andre.
same thing as it was written.
And
It's
so
not meeting our needs.
we need to look at it and get it changed, but.
Change it.
But you have
Change it.
variances,
Change it.
that can be done. You can't change UDC tonight.
No, you can change this. You can change
I
this
mean,
moratorium.
it's-
Change the
you-
moratorium.
You can file for a variance.
Change the moratorium.
You can file for a variance, so.
You stop.
I
the
wouldn't
growth of
bet
Hammond.
a development deal that I wanted and go get plans for something drawn up and then have to come for this council and try and
For a
beg for
fourplex?
someone to agree.
For a fourplex,
No, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't come for this
I
council
wouldn't take
asking
the
for a
chance
favor.
either.
I've
Too big of an investment.
I've had an overwhelming calls of support from my district that want to see some improvements and in favor of the moratorium until things improve infrastructure-wise in the city of Hammond. So
People don't understand that what is being made better is not addressed by this moratorium. This moratorium is not making life in the city of Hammond better and helping our sewage. People are not understanding what this does.
So do you think 1,500 more units in the same year in Hammond is going to make it better for the city of Hammond residents that are having infrastructure issues?
What 1,500 units
Got
were
a gentleman
coming?
standing up, he want to talk,
Thank you. You want
please.
to come up, Mr. Spiller?
Spiller Milton, I live 608 Susan Drive in Hammond. I spoke last month, I think it was, about the moratorium. I'm hearing you say that you can't get a report out of the Planning and Zoning Committee? Can't the council put pressure on to say we have to have a report by such and such date with recommendations?
There hasn't been any agreement on what would be the contents of that report. What Councilman DiVittorio did was send an email to the city planner at that time and request a list of items. There wasn't confirmation from all the council that that's what you want. And some of those
I
items.
think real quick,
what we-
Lacey, I think he's talking about maybe that housing study consultant. So that's what he's talking about right now, not, well, the planning and zoning wasn't asked to give a report yet. It was we set up a housing committee and then they advised to hire a consultant. They hired a consultant. So that is a fraction. That's not all to do with this. They didn't tell us to do a moratorium. It's not affiliated with that. It's just there's some data in there that could be used if you had a city planner and you can go over things and the planning and zoning, everybody use of a fraction of what's going on with the city as far as infrastructure improvements. If we got to look at density requirements on some of that, what the UDC has on there for development, drainage studies, impact fees. We've talked about this. We brought it up a tad bit when Ron Matthews sits on the planning, has been in here, and none's been done. Just like we brought up grease traps before, with the city engineer in here before, and that old grandfathered in where the grease traps may not be up to code now, but they're grandfathered in. Some of them are going into the sewer lines right now. Those issues that were brought up in the city council meeting several months ago that they were supposed to look into. I don't know if they've improved the process or working on the process on addressing that issue that might be able to way to check if the old grease traps are going into the sewer lines or whatnot. Don't know, but that was something else that was talked about up here at 6 months. So it's brought to the attention to the administration. At some point, have to get some things actually addressed and improved that we discuss and talk about. Obviously, the moratorium, there's a problem. So we need to get it fixed. And so therefore, that's what's going on. The UDC has some issues that need to be, that could possibly be looked at to improve, to help lift the moratorium in my book. So
Why do we need to wait 6 months to allow small growth and allow some forward movement?
you can have movement. Small movement. What small movement are you talking about? What is it?
More than a duplex?
A duplex, you can build a duplex, Steve. Did you not just
Said
listen?
more than a duplex.
You can do two.
Listen to me.
You can do two
More than a
duplexes. You can
duplex.
do
Y'all
two
y'all gonna let the gentleman talk,
You can do
please?
two
Let him talk.
duplexes. Go ahead, Ms. Spiller.
When I got into this a while back with our subdivision, and I went to the Planning and Zoning Commission, everything was backwards. And that was part of the reason I wanted to see a moratorium on it. That they could put a file for variance and all the rest of this before they'd ever looked at whether there was transportation issue or sewage issues or drainage issues or anything else. And that's backwards to anywhere you go. Even the parish says that when you come and ask for a variance, you have to be able to show that it's not going to affect the drainage, it's not going to affect the neighborhood, it's not going to affect transportation. You have to show that up front, not after it's already been approved and then try to find a way that you can't do it because this hadn't been done yet.
Anytime a development comes into the city of Hammond, before it goes to planning and zoning, comes to a meeting with the city engineer for the outfall of the water on the property, with the director of the sewer to make sure that the sewer is adequate enough to service it, water included, drainage as well. Then it goes to the city. The issue with that neighborhood was where they wanted to bring that road, the transportation through, which was inadequate going through your subdivision.
Well,
They didn't want to purchase any property from the other adjacent owners and go out to Old Baton Rouge Highway like they should have. So that's why that thing was shut down for the most part.
Well-
But it does go to a meeting with the engineer and every department head that's affiliated with the fact that what's going to happen with that property when that developer comes in. Most developers don't do what they did and buy the property prior to looking into this. That's backwards on their part.
Okay?
So when you come in, or if you're going to build a duplex or a fourplex, or now can you build 5 fourplexes? It does come before a meeting with all of those individuals involved to see if the system can handle their outfall of drainage, sewer, and water.
Well, there were several issues. The road issue
Road
was
was
the
the main
major
one.
thing, and the one that stopped it.
Yes.
But there was also drainage, that the buildings that they were intending on building were going to go over the line for the right-of-way for the drainage district.
Sir, I'm sorry, but do you know that this moratorium has nothing to do with that project? That thing that you didn't want to happen behind Lakewood subdivision, this does not have anything to do with it.
It doesn't have anything to do with
Not-
trying to get your policies together so that
No.
people know what they can do and can't do.
No.
And having to have a plan in place so that the city can move forward in a way that is organized.
Not
and
the way it's drafted.
And not helter-skelter.
No, that has nothing to do with what this moratorium does. And in the year that it's been in place, none of that work has happened because it doesn't speak to any of those issues. Seriously.
Your drainage at that neighborhood, at the back of it, from what Chuck Spangler, the engineer, was talking about, was partially rerouted to the interstate and diverted down that way, not through your neighborhood. But the main thing that shut that that neighborhood down was where they wanted to enter and exit that property. And that's why we don't have developers coming to us now. You're not going to spend the dollars on surveying or drawing any plans up until you know for sure what you're going to do on that piece of property, and you preliminarily talk to the engineer, city engineer, and everyone else involved.
But Mr. Spiller, what it is doing is right now they could put 400 apartment units right behind there without a improved process to
I don't think it's
to
zoned
improve
for
this.
that. I don't think
It's
it's-
zone commercial right now. It is, so you can put multifamily in there. It's in my district.
Okay.
So,
Well, if any
Thank you.
developer would just have a different access, they could go do exactly what they were going to do, which is build a subdivision. This moratorium doesn't stop that either.
Well, I'm saying, from viewpoint of a person not into the middle of everything that's going on, is there appears, I went to the Planning and Zoning Commission to ask about what was happening with this. And the papers they gave me and the information they gave me was that a person could get a variance and then start planning there, talking about sewage and drainage and transportation and the rest of this. And that's seems to be very backward to what it should be. And this is my concern with the moratorium is that let's lay some plans, let's take a step back and lay some plans out so that we know where we're going as a city and not be like a lot of other cities around us who have been inundated with people and that because there was not an adequate expectation or growth or line of growth that it destroyed the value of the city. I've lived in 18 different cities in Louisiana, and I've seen it go both ways. If it was planned ahead of time, that people knew where the growth was going to be and how it could be done so that it was effective for everybody involved. I've seen it where it was just, well, if you got property, you can do this, and the town became a place that nobody really particularly wanted to live in. So my concern is that we look to the advantage of Hammond and what's going to give us the best town a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spiller.
I think what I'm looking at, the moratorium, is to slow things down. Large multiple family units, that's what it's all about. I think we blowing it all out of proportion for the infrastructure, everything that's taking place. That's what the moratorium is about. But it's 9 of us sitting up here. And with the 9 of us sitting up here, I know in my district, we dealing with sewer. So we're not gonna sit here and say, I'm quite sure none of the other councilmen having sewer bagged up in their house. We dealing with sewer issues when it rain right now. So if you put 40 more units up, it gonna affect District 3. And it's easy to say, that's not my problem. I'm not worried about that. I'm the one who get the phone calls. Every time it rain, they call me about the sewer bagging up in their house. Right there, that's enough right there. Everything should be shut down to say, let's see what's causing the sewer issue. No, it should be fixed. It should have been fixed before we got up here. Then I just go back and look. A young man tried to do a restaurant. And we say, how the city gonna look 20 years from now if he built a restaurant there? How the city gonna look 20 years from now if we have all these multiple units? And it's easy for certain city councilmen to holler about stuff. They property already sold. But in my district, the property is not sold. So you're building all these multiple units that gonna affect my district, District 3. If they not built in District 3, they so close to the line. We talking about just the street divide us from Sam district to my district, yeah. So it's easy for you all to holler. It's not gonna affect you. Yeah, I'm looking at 20 years from down the line. I'm looking at 30 years. You all might not be here, but I know somebody in my family gonna be here, and I don't want them to have to deal with this issue. Something that we could just take time, what they say, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. The trailers, what we gonna do? We'll do a moratorium on the trailer, pump the brakes. And guess what? It don't affect y'all, because you know what? Anytime somebody think of building a trailer, I say no, they can't build no trailer. That's it. But when they come to me, let's talk about it. Let's see what the community want. Now the community say, we gonna slow these trailers down. They got a young lady here tonight to do a trailer. After that, we don't have a choice but to slow it down. Home ownership, yeah, we talk about single home, but think about it. How the hell you gonna build a house and you only make $24,000 a year? Let's be realistic. Can't nobody build no house. You can't even get them to save no money. You can't save nothing when you ain't got nothing. So that's what we need to look at. Let's try to do it for the people and stop. Take you out of it. Take you out of it. I take me out of it. I'm dealing with sewer issues. And you know, you stand up here, you all talk, but not one time, not all the developers, everybody I talk to. Well, Councilman Wells, I didn't know you dealing with sewer issues. But look, this is what I'm trying to build. And I'm supposed to say just okay, just like that. This is what you're trying to build. We having problems. We really having problems. Popeye's dealing with sewer issues. Walgreens dealing with sewer issues. And you know what? When all of them were dealing with sewer issues, they sent one big line, built one new line. Boom, within 5 months, they don't deal with that issue no more. From day one, going into my 5th year, we still dealing with the same issue. But it's amazing, Popeyes and Walgreens, Bill Hood, nobody on that highway dealing with sewer issues no more. And where it come from? The grease, Zaxby, Popeyes. You know, we talked about the grease trap. Have the grease trap been interviewed? Have anybody inspected the grease trap? We supposed to do a grease trap check, what, every 3-4 months? Because the grease trap too small, but we can't tell Popeye to put a bigger grease trap. We got grease in our lines in District 3. Everybody's sewer, if you stay in Hammond, it goes through District 3. It impacts us. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joe Meir, 44065 High Oaks Trail, Hammond. Coming to talk about the agenda item, the moratorium. It sounds like even tonight that there's contradicting going on between our council members. Councilman Wells, you had mentioned, you said three units or 4 units. You want them to be able to build, you know, three units or 4 units.
I never stopped it.
Right. Well,
yeah,
the ordinance does. The current ordinance that's in place.
Moratorium.
Says, moratorium ordinance that's in place says anybody in any district cannot build 3 or more units on a parcel of property. So it shuts down. I understand what you guys are trying to do is pump the brakes on the big developments so we can figure out the zoning and planning on what we need to do with that. But it also stops that family that needs that home that makes $24,000 a year, a place to live, because the rents are, we at probably 97% occupancy. 3% is just people moving in and out of units. So the current ordinance of the moratorium that's in place says 3 or more units cannot happen anywhere in the city, not just District 3 or 4, any place in the city. So I'm asking for the ordinance to be amended so that they don't have to jump through the hoops that we continue to talk about that's happening at the planning department. They know the rules. They can build a duplex, a triplex, up to a 4plex. So the ordinance, if that's what you're wanting to do, council, should read 5 or more units is at a moratorium until planning and zoning gets reviewed for the zoning of how many units you want to allow in any particular parcel in the city. So,
Okay, sir, I'm gonna tell you this here. The same process we talking about. Yeah, come up here. Yeah, the same process we talking about. The first meeting, I was at the first meeting. I was at the meeting. And remember y'all was going through the community and look, and y'all had a time on the agenda, which was what, 1 o'clock? And yeah, come on now. Come on, yeah, look, but let me tell you.
thing I'm trying to think.
Okay, see, yeah, it was 1 o'clock. This is what you had on the agenda.
Oh, the community meeting, not the
Yes.
council meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm talking about, but you all rode through the communities. I was supposed to ride with you, but y'all end up going at 12 o'clock. I know.
I didn't go on that ride, but
Yeah, but y'all end up going at 12 o'clock because you the one made the call.
I didn't make that.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, this is all I'm saying.
Okay.
I wanted to go on that ride. It was on the agenda for 1 o'clock, but you end up doing it at 12, you know. And I know you don't know, you know, right now.
It wasn't me. I'm saying.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say this here.
I had anything to do with that.
Okay, you know what's going on in our issue. You know what's going on in District 3. You know where I stay. We can sit down and talk about this anytime, but you know, you come up here and you play games. It don't affect you. You know, do you have any sewer issues going on?
Not at my house, no.
Not in your house. See how easy that is? Guess what? You know how many phone calls I received today? Telling me about the bad weather coming. Y'all got a councilman? Yeah, we got a councilman. The bad weather coming, what we gonna do about the rain? There's nothing I can do about the rain. What I'm saying is we having sewer issues.
I understand.
Yeah, no. I want you to feel it though. I want you to feel it.
I feel it, Councilman Wells. All I'm saying is, you even said tonight that you want people to be able to build a triplex or a fourplex.
You can build a
Talking about-
triplex. You can build a
By
triplex.
going through a variance.
No, doubles, triplexes, it's the fourplexes or not. But you can do a triplex, you can do 2 doubles.
On one
It just-
parcel,
yes,
4 units
yes.
on one
It's
parcel.
just not, it's not a fourplex.
It's 4 units
It's
on one
a
parcel.
double, a duplex, and a duplex,
On
or a
one parcel.
triplex, yes.
On one parcel.
Yes, but not a fourplex altogether.
Amend your ordinance to be clear. That's all I'm asking, is to amend the ordinance to be clear so that they don't have to go through variances to do what you're saying. They can do it with a variance. That's
You
all.
know, it's funny, you know, and a lot of people in the audience don't know what's going on, but a lot of this stuff be so personal. And yeah, it be so personal. The city can't move on because it's so personal between this person, that person. I'm quite sure you know what Sam's office is, and I'm quite sure y'all can sit down and talk. You know, we started this process, all of us started this process together. You know, it's funny how we could just sit here and take it a whole nother way. You know, the housing committee, and I thank you for being on it, you know, but I want anybody and everybody to do things with good intentions. And that's all I try to do when I be up here. You know, I want to do what's best for the city of Hammond and District 3.
And I
That's all I ask for.
think it might be a communication problem because maybe they've been saying they can't do a triplex or anything, but Andre, just want to confirm it one more time so where it's clear out here. You can do a double, you can do another double, you can do a triplex, but you cannot do a fourplex. That's how it is. It
Correct.
does not.
Assuming everything else.
Yes, aligns.
Setbacks and all.
Yes,
Where,
and
where is the triplex definition?
It's not a fourplex.
It doesn't say fourplex in here. We have a duplex definition in the appendix, and we have the multifamily.
It would be 3 units would be the triplex.
That's,
Yes.
and
So
that's
what's-
what
what's-
I thought you couldn't do because it's multifamily.
The multifamily, this is the definition off of the UDC.
Right.
And it's been the same definition.
Right,
What is multifamily is 3 or more
that's a triplex.
contiguous, 2-family or duplex dwelling site, or a single site with multifamily dwelling. So on a single site, you can't have 3 or more on a single site. You can have 2 contiguous 2-family duplexes, because multifamily is 3 or more.
That's not what this says.
I mean, I'm just reading off of the definition, and we can narrow that, clear that up, clean that up in this moratorium. you can change the moratorium to what it applies to. If the fear is the large-scale apartment complexes, then the moratorium can be adjusted to apply to those type of developments. But that's entirely up to the council to what they want
agree.
the moratorium to apply to.
I agree.
Thank you.
It just happened again. It just happened again just now.
Yes.
You just said 3 or more units is not allowed.
Andre,
This is my recommendation.
no-
Whatever you want it to be, let's make it clear.
Right.
Whatever the definitions of multifamily is just pulled
Well,
off of the UDC.
I don't, okay, that's fine, because one of my, we can make a plan to add this topic to the mobile home discussion, but I'm hoping to have some draft change, recommended changes to the UDC that would help some of this apartment complex issues we're having. One of them was making it clear on the UDC with the 3 and 4-plex issues that we're having right now. So, I mean, I personally wouldn't have a problem with, making it clear on the moratorium 4 or more. So, because that's one of the recommendations I think on the UDC needs to be clearer, and it needs to be moved to 4 or more anyways, since that is pretty much somebody can buy a 4-plex, live in it, and rent other units out. That's guidelines for FHA financing, everything else. So I don't have an issue with that. I just think that's one of the many things that could be cleaned up and cleared up in the UDC. So that's.
And that could be
Yeah.
cleared up in the moratorium.
Yeah, exactly, right now, this one. The other ones cannot, that I'm looking at
Correct.
discussing and everything, yes, so.
Pam Palmer, 43506 Robinson Road. Thank you for your concerns for the citizens of Hammond. Thank you for wanting to take the time to fix things before we add to them. Thank you. Don't be deterred from what your heart say do. I thank you that you have me in mind and other people. So
Thank you.
don't be deterred from
Thank
it.
you.
So keep it up, because I'd rather you fix it now and not be sorry later.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, Councilman DeVittorio, if you're saying 4 units, then the moratorium would need to say 5 or more units to be able to allow
Yeah.
a 4-plex.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear also. I understand that there's issues in the city, but it's not the entire city that's having these issues. And so there's areas that investors have property that they want to do, 2 to 3 units or 4-plex to help with the housing needs. And that's what I'm talking about. And the moratorium is just not clear. So if we're talking about being able to do at least a 4-unit construction, then to be clear, the moratorium would be 5 or more units.
So we're just looking at a simple thing of a sentence or a wording that need to be put in there to clear that part up.
Yes, at the appropriate time in final adoption, you could amend the moratorium as it's proposed to change the definition of what it applies to.
Andre, I would like clarification on making sure it is modified to a 4-plex. A 4-plex.
Is allowed or not allowed?
A 4-plex.
This is Alexander Champagne again on the matter. Yeah, I'm more comfortable now in explaining to myself that when we did go to city planning, we were denied because it would be bigger than a duplex, and I think that's been established. I wanted to just let y'all know, I think smart building is the path for the future, and I understand that that's what the process is, and I think there is some people here that do have the idea to create those complexes that are a little bit bigger, like the 2 to 4-plex that can benefit single families, things like that. And I wanted to just reiterate, just some clarity on a 5-plex and up being denied is something that's a good alternative for now. And I think that is, we're very thankful that y'all are considering it.
Thank you.
Andre, may I make a suggestion that we look at the definition of dwelling? Maybe that would give us more clarity. Dwelling is a building used entirely for residential purposes, shall be construed to include trailers and mobile units. A single-family dwelling is a building not of a temporary nature, not designed to be moved along a highway, that contains one living unit. A two-family dwelling is a building that contains only two living units, a duplex. And a multifamily dwelling shall be considered one in which contains three or more living units. That's where I think we keep getting twisted around, is because multi, I think in multiple places, means three or more. We've got clear on single family, we've got clear on two family, duplex, and then all of a sudden multi gets blurry. So if we say that 5 or more units, or 5 or more
Unit would be one dwelling.
dwellings,
Yes, a unit is a dwelling. So I think the question is, how large would you want?
So Andre, this is a duplex
Is two.
is two
You can
units.
have two duplexes
Yes.
on one site if it meets all the other setbacks.
Exactly, all the requirement. So that was never a concern to any of the constituents in my district. And a fourplex was not.
Would be a single building.
Exactly, with 4 units.
Correct.
Exactly. So that is, I'm 100% fine with making that change for this moratorium because it does not affect the mood and what needs to happen in the next 6 months to improve this. So however it needs to be written like that, clear to where there's no issues with building department, city residents, anything, developers or builders, it needs to be stated like that. That I'm 100% fine with that.
So we sat here for a year. It's apparent to me, in the conversations that's been going on, is that zoning, planning and zoning need to be heavily involved in these discussions. And we're looking at wanting to do another 6 months. And in my opinion, again, the resolution to this, and everybody wants to see Hammond grow smart. There's nobody not wanting to see that. None of us, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for everybody, none of us want to see 500-unit complexes that are throwing up and going to fall down in 2 years or 10 years. That's not the purpose. Purpose of moving and growing and planning smart is that we get together, that the council, the administration, and planning and zoning draw up zoning restrictions, guidelines that we all can live with, and that the city can move forward in a positive manner. And that's what I think that's what we all want. But the moratorium doesn't address that. We need to address that these entities are going to get together and they're going to make recommendations, period.
The moratorium stops apartments while it make changes. I sent an email several months back to the administration and the planning. I just want to make this clear. I'm just to y'all that it was sent to the administration and the current city planner at that time in planning and zoning, which that planning and zoning chairman is no longer there now anymore. It just switched over. But the discussions were set up and tried to start organizing. Just never, it never went from there. So those were things. So now I've taken another approach, and I've started conversations with Andre, looking at things, and hopefully, get presented with the council and maybe a meeting at some point. We could actually add it to the mobile home discussion we're having issues with. So, and that's another issue that you're trying to fix something more with a mobile home process, and they can continue putting mobile home applicants in right now, applications for variances, and there's a problem. So the moratorium would be, not saying we need one there, but that's kind of what they're for, while you discuss and figure out what's going on, if we can make any changes, or you want mobile homes. So you keep piling up the mobile homes while you're trying to look at things, it's not doing any good. So you pause, you look at it, you make the changes, or not make changes, make a decision, then you lift the moratorium and go from there. So that's kind of where it's at. So anyways, anybody else in the public?
And you think that takes 6 months?
It's going to take a while, because if there's any
I
change.
mean, we didn't do
Hold
nothing
on,
in a year.
hold
What
on.
makes you think we could do something in 6 months?
If there's a change on the UDC, it has to come be introduced to the council, then it has to be brought back to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then it has to be brought back to us. So that's probably at least a 2 to 3 months process right there. So it takes a little time, not to mention some feedback. So that's, sometimes you got to take your time, Steve. It's not good to
Took
rush.
time. We took a year. What we got?
9 months,
I
actually.
think what we need to do is, this is what I suggest. Mr. Mayor and Andre, could you set it up where we can go where they throw them axes at downtown? And that's what I'm saying, all the councilmen can go down there. Don't throw the axe at one another, but throw it on the things that they have in there, because, and real stuff, you know, we're not getting nowhere, and we're not helping the city at all. And like I said, it's personal. And I said this 2 weeks ago, and it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to talk, do what we did when we first met one another. Now all of a sudden, this one don't like this one don't like that one. You know, Steve, we know they can't build nothing in your community. We know that, so you can.
Excuse me, Councilman. I have nearly 50 acres. 50
Yeah,
acres.
but they
in
owned
my-
by the people that got money, so they're not gonna sell that. And Steve, please, because you know what? I'm still mad at you from coming in the meeting with a virus. So, you know, I see you ain't.
And I'm still mad about not being
Yeah,
allowed
so
to
I
vote.
see
So
you
there
are not,
go.
I see you're not concerned about the people, but what I'm saying, I just said it. Mr. Mayor Andre, could you say that we can go throw axes, please?
Time to move on, Kip.
Well, every time we try to move on, Steve will butt in.
Number 2.
An ordinance to approve, excuse me, an expanded conditional use request by Candace T. Bush, owner and applicant, to allow for a mobile home located at 508 Washington Avenue per survey by William J. Bowden, PLS dated 5/18/22, zoned RS-3, Z-2022-11-00115. Recommended approval by the Zoning Commission with the following conditions. This is a personal right and expires upon a change in ownership of the property from the person originally granted the conditional use. It meets all the requirements in the Unified Development Code, Article 3, Section 3-4, and the survey submitted is signed and recorded for the official lot of record, Lacey Lander.
As explained in several meetings, this has come before the Zoning Commission. They did recommend unanimously to move this forward for approval. It has been introduced at the City Council meeting in December. It was on the public hearing, and some discussion was had at the last council meeting, and then it was tabled because the owner was not able to make that meeting. So tonight, this is in District 3, Councilman Wells. It's my understanding that he has also spoken with the folks who are applying for this. The lot and the dimensions of the mobile home that Ms. Candace wishes to place here do fit the lot. She will not need additional variances for a setback or a change of variance for the front door. There is a mobile home to the north of this lot. There's a mobile home to the south of this lot. There's a mobile home currently to the west of this lot. Across the street to the east of this lot is a single-family home. This proposed area is not a mobile home area and not a proposed mobile home area, but there are several mobile homes throughout the area, including the ones just mentioned. With the placement, the mobile home would be needing to be within the last 10 years, and I believe she's intending on purchasing a new one. We did also clarify with the folks who were here at the last meeting that this is not being built across the street. That's the lot they were worried about. So.
Anyone else from the public on this matter?
Hi, my name is Candace Bush. I am the owner of the lot. I just recently purchased the lot, so I'm just trying to get everything sorted away, you know, what I need to do in order to go forward and put the mobile home on the lot if I can.
The hardest part is over with, just getting you here. That was the problem.
I know, thank you. I'm sorry about that.
She did have several work engagements that prevented her from being here, so thank you for being able to be here.
Anyone else? All right. Hammond City Council regular session agenda, January 24th, 2023, 6:30.
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, yeah, it's coming in. It's coming into this. 6:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Divatario.
Present.
Councilman Andrews.
Present.
Councilman Leon.
Present.
Councilman Wells.
At this time, we'll have our prayer by Pastor Chester.
Father God, we come tonight to say thank you. We thank you for another opportunity, another chance. Master, we thank you for another day. Lord, we thank you for traveling mercy. We thank you how you protected us throughout our busy schedule. Master, you thank you on how you took out time to watch over us even when we weren't able to watch over ourselves. Master, we come here tonight, Master, to get an understanding. Master, wherever might be on any agenda, Master, we just ask you to help and intervene. Master, we just ask you to look upon those that care about the city of Hammond. Father, I ask you to bless them from the crown of their head to the sole of their feet. Master, look upon the leaders of Hammond. Master, I ask you to bless them because they need you right now. Master, our mayor, our city councilman, Master, our district leaders, Master, watch over them. Master, community leaders, watch over them, stand by their side. And Master, whatever's on any agenda, whatever problem that it might be, Master, we just ask you to look upon the hearts and the minds of the people. Master, we just ask you to help them to make the right decision to go forth. And Master, let it be your will and not the will of our own. In the name of Jesus, we do pray. Amen.
Remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. All veterans and active military, please render the proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, can I get an approval of our minutes from our January 10th, 2023 meeting, please?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario. Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Chief Drago for a presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us. I'm Chief Frank Drago. I'm Chief of the Hammond Fire Prevention Bureau here. Part of what we do is save life and property, and tonight I want to take the time to honor someone who did just that. Real quick, on the night of December 24th at approximately 5 p.m., a fire was started near the paint aisle in Walmart. Most people were running towards the exit and being evacuated, but another individual took the time and chose to do the opposite, grabbing a nearby fire extinguisher and was able to extinguish the fire, which prevented a large-scale incident and not only stopped a large financial loss for Walmart, but also potentially saved lives that night. So we want to take the time to thank Mr. John Ponder on behalf of the Hammond Fire Prevention Bureau, Mayor Pete Pinapinto, Chief Daniel Fulks, and the rest of the city of Hammond. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, final adoption of ordinance number 1.
Final adoption of an ordinance to extend the moratorium on the acceptance and processing of subdivision plats, site development plans, or zoning amendments for multifamily housing within the city of Hammond for an additional 180 days. Councilman Divatario.
Yes, Andre, what would be a good amendment to add to that to clarify,
So-
make it real clear and easy?
If it's your intention
Yeah.
that a single building
Yep.
with 4 units is allowed, then you just carve that out.
Okay.
Into the definition of multifamily, you make it clear with an affirmative statement
Yep.
that says a single building with 4 units is allowed and is not covered by this moratorium.
Yeah, a single building with 4 units is not, is allowed, is not covered by this moratorium for 180 days. So I make a motion.
So it's to amend,
Amend, I
amend
make,
the ordinance.
yeah. So do I need
To
to make,
include that
do
statement.
I need to make an amendment
Yes.
phrase?
You
Okay.
first make a motion to amend it.
Okay, I make a
If it is
motion,
amended.
Yeah.
Then there's a vote on the ordinance as amended.
okay. I make a motion to amend the moratorium to allow a 4-plex, 4 units on, as one building.
A single building.
Single building with 4 units
Is allowed.
is
not
allowed
covered by the
and not covered by the moratorium.
The statement question is, you cannot build 5, 10 fourplexes or 24 plexes, correct? Okay. Just one fourplex per,
That's
one
the
single
motion.
building.
Yeah, that's the motion for, yeah,
I want to make sure
Yeah.
for the people in planning and zoning,
Yeah.
when someone comes up.
Single building.
single bill.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez. Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
So now it's amended.
Yeah.
So I voted for the amendment, but I still think this is sloppy. Just for the record, I think I would like to see it in front of me and know what I'm voting on. So just wanted to state that.
I agree.
So now,
Now it would
Yep.
be either other motions
Yep.
or a motion to adopt it as amended.
make a motion to adopt it as amended.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
No.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
And Councilman Leon.
No.
Hey, Steve, I had a question. Where is that 40 acres or 50 acres you were referring to?
They got property all over that Whitmore acre. They got.
Come on, let's move on. Let's move on.
I just wanted to
By
ask.
Southeastern, that's not owned by Southeastern. There's a lot of property that building could.
By Whitmore? Okay. Thank you.
No, ordinance number 2.
An ordinance to approve an expanded conditional use request by Candace T. Bush, owner and applicant, to allow for a mobile home located at 508 Washington Avenue per survey by William Bowden, PLS dated 5/18/22, zoned RS-3, Z-2022-11-00115, recommended approval by the zoning commission with the following conditions. This is a personal right and expires upon a change in ownership of the property from the person originally granted the conditional use. 2, it meets all the requirements in the Unified Development Code, Article 3, Section 3-1, and 3, the survey submitted is signed and recorded for the official lot of record.
Anyone else from the public on this matter? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
And Councilman Andrews.
Aye. Resolution number 1.
A resolution to approve Morrison Inc., DBA Morrison Express, a convenience store, gas station located at 1200 South Morrison Boulevard, to obtain a permit to sell packaged high-low alcohol. The owner is Murid Ahmad Casey Daigle.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
We're up here seeking approval for packaged high-low alcohol. This is previously the Kangaroo store number 553. It's just a change of ownership. It still be a convenience store, stay the same as it has been, just a change of ownership. Mr. Hamad is here this afternoon in case y'all have any questions for him.
Yeah, let him come up.
Yeah.
Hi.
How you doing?
Nobody gonna tell him about selling alcohol to minors or nothing? That's all we need to know.
That's standard, we don't,
Okay.
So which one is this one? This was in, I think, my district. That's on South Morrison. What's the name of it? The
It's a Sitco.
Sitco.
It was a Kangaroo.
Stop and Shop and Kangaroo.
Kangaroo. Let's see. Where's that one at?
It's right next to Regions Bank.
On
Oh,
Morrison.
Regions Bank. Oh, the old Circle K.
Yeah.
That's what it's at,
Across from the
Circle.
Buick.
Okay. Okay. Y'all been there for a little while now, I think, right?
A month or so.
Oh, it just sold? Okay.
Well, we just took over the management.
Okay, cool.
Anyone else from the public? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
And Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Good luck to you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Resolution number 2.
A resolution to approve Aguacates Mexican Restaurant located at 2037 West Thomas Street in Hammond, Louisiana, 70401, to obtain a permit to sell on-premise high-low alcohol. The owner is Humberto Mata Casey Daigle.
Good afternoon. Again, this is a restaurant. This is the old Agave restaurant that's under new ownership. It's now Aguacates Mexican restaurant. Again, it's going to be run just like it was in the past. I have the Matas representing here this afternoon if you have any questions for them.
They're here tonight?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's in my district as well, yeah, that one, yep. I mean, I'm good, I don't have any questions, I appreciate it, thank you, wish y'all luck,
Yes.
thank you.
Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
And Councilman Andrews.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.
Resolution number 3.
A resolution to approve the appointment of one of the 3 following nominees: Paul Murphy, Chelsea Kesnick, Sharon Smith, representing the West Side Property and Business Owners to Downtown Development District Board for a 2-year term effective immediately to December 31st, 2024. Michelle Kendall.
Good evening, council.
Good
Good evening.
So second time coming for you for our board appointments. Thankfully, when we opened our West Side seat nomination, we did receive 3 eligible nominations. Before I continue on, there was a clerical error on my part, and I missed one nomination form for one of the potential appointees, Chelsea Kesnick. So just wanted to make you aware of that. She just had an additional nomination form that I missed in the packet.
Gotcha.
Doesn't change the eligibility.
I thought you were about to say that there was another person that you forgot to send us. I was like,
Oh, no.
come on.
Yeah.
Just,
Yes.
one form in the packet.
Very good.
Almost 50 pages long. As I mentioned, there are 3 eligible nominations for the open seat, and you have the resume, evidence of business or property ownership in the district, and the nominating forms attached for each of those folks. Each party was invited to come tonight, and I do believe they're all here.
Good.
Come up and introduce yourself.
So I submitted everything in the order that we received their
Okay.
nomination, so if you'd like to move in that manner, you can.
That's fine. Good evening.
Good evening.
Paul Murphy, I live at 504 West Robert Street. It's outside the district, but, I threw my hat in the ring. I thought, I was a founding member and developer of the DDD way back when, and I've been out of circulation for a while just running my businesses, and I'm retired or getting close to it. I'm not totally there. But I thought I'd participate a little bit in the oversight of what's going on in DDD.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chelsea.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chelsea Kesnick, 117 West Thomas Street. Mariners Inn is my family's business. I'm kind of new to all of this. I feel our downtown community is really entering a phase of revitalization. As a downtown, I feel, even since Hurricane Ida, we've really shown that. And I also feel that our board should represent that as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think most of you know me. My name is Sharon Smith. Asking for your vote for me as councilman to sit on the West Side Board. I live at 19477 Parr Lane in Hammond. I've been living here in the Hammond area for 47 years. I've worked and lived in the area for 47 years. And I've already served on the board for 6 years, the January 1st of the 14 through December the 31st of 2019. So I have the experience, I already have the experience too of revitalization in the area with the numerous of the buildings here in downtown Hammond that was put back into commerce. And I'm asking for your vote. Sharon Smith, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chelsea, thank you for opening the nominations back up. Last time we were going to have to find someone, which, I think didn't sit well with hopefully all of us, that this is something that we want people to want and to go and have people in DDD actually submit those nominations. So I think this was a success in opening it back up. Now we have three very good potential three nominees. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? All right, pleasure of the council.
I make a motion to approve Sharon Smith, Sharon Smith.
Second.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
No.
Councilman Leon?
No.
Councilman Andrews?
No.
I make a motion to appoint Chelsea Kesnick to the DDD board.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Thank you all for submitting nominations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Resolution number 4.
A resolution to purchase a Ram 1500 Classic Tradesman Cab, Crew Cab 4x4 from Community Motors LLC for $43,363 for the building department. Janet Swallow.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This actually is an item that y'all approved last December for a truck for the building department. Ford never put this in a queue to be serviced into production, so we're over a year waiting for a truck. So We are actually asking council's approval to cancel that order and move forward with purchasing this Dodge from Community Motors. We did get additional quotes, and they came in the cheapest, and will hold the vehicle for us. None of the other dealerships would hold the vehicle for us.
Okay. Anyone else from the public? Pleasure of the council.
Yeah, one or two things. We make sure there's a logo on the truck, a city logo. We have to start putting tracking device on these vehicles. You know, these vehicles go in too many areas that they shouldn't be in. I'm not saying this truck or nothing, but we're gonna have to start somewhere. Since all us concerned about the city, we're gonna have to start putting tracking device on the equipment, everything the city owns. And that's how we'll know that everything in the right place at the right time.
Hey, Andre, do you need to make a ordinance for that, or what do we need to do if that was something we wanted to look at down the road?
We can go ahead and
Tracking
just put it in the budget. If y'all allow us, we'll go ahead and get the price for everything, because I've been wanting to do it for the police. Put it in the budget for y'all to approve, and we'll track them all.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds
Thank you,
good.
Mr. Mayor.
Pleasure of the council.
Second.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Thank you, Jana.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Jan.
Resolution number 5.
A resolution to authorize the Hammond Barbecue, Inc. to sell alcohol on the city's property lying within the boundaries of Southwest Railroad Avenue from 100 yards south of Coleman Street to West Thomas Street, Coleman Street from K Street to Southwest Railroad Avenue for the hours of 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Thursday, March 23rd, 2023, at 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday, March 24th, 2023, and from 10 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. on Saturday, March 25th. Brian Shurry.
Good evening, thank y'all. Brian Shire, 900 West Colorado Street, Hammond. I'm here representing Hammond BBQ Inc. We're a 501c3. I'll be quick because I know it's a long meeting, but I still want to make sure that I remind everyone of what it is we do and who we are. We're a 501c3 organization, all volunteer board and labor. Our first event was in 2003. We've given over $600,000. We've raised and returned over $600,000 since then to local charities, all local charities. Our executive board consists of Eric Ferris, Hart Bordelon, Tommy Mazaraki, George Baxter III, and myself. It's a 2-day event. It's always the 4th weekend in March. This year, that's March 24th and 25th. In the past, I've reached out to y'all individually when we thought about making some changes. The major changes this year are we won't have any professional teams. So the footprint that we used to take up, which was all the parking malls downtown, similar to last year's event, which was COVID-related, we had great success in our local event. The pros were, while they were a draw for some people to come and see the professional teams, and when they see on TV, the one that are on all the circuits and everything, it did disrupt parking a whole lot, and it didn't create any money back for the charities. All of the money is raised on the backyard side, the part that we'll continue to do in this footprint. So we'll have up to 65 local teams competing on Saturday. Friday evening we'll have bands and then just a general cookout. It's kind of people can set up all their stuff to cook for the next day, because barbecue, they have to start early to do these things. So most of the teams come and set up the Friday evening before. We'll have a band Friday night. Friday evening, Friday night, done by 10. Saturday band starts at, I think, 11. There's a band up until awards at 3, and then from 4 to 7 is another change we'll have this year. All that's been normal. In the past, after awards, we've shut it down. We had a lot of communities say, look, we're all out here, can we get another? So we're going to try putting a second band, but not going off into the night on Saturday, just wrapping it up at 7 o'clock is when that band would stop. So that's a difference. We also have Chicken Little teams, so kids from, I don't know, however, 6 to 16 can compete. Their parents have to help them. Well, also, a few years back, we added craft vendor section, which in the past had been kind of in the parking lot in front of Brady's, I guess, if you will. But what we're proposing this year is what you see on this map that I dropped off to y'all. So if this is Coleman Street, the mall, I did a little arrow. I'm not a draftsman by trade, so.
It's a wonderful graphic, Brian.
Yeah, thanks.
Good job, good job.
Railroad Avenue and Morris. In the past, we crossed over Morris in traffic. There was a lot of foot traffic going back and forth. What we're proposing this year is we maintain the stage. We'll put it in a different configuration facing to the south, take up all of that parking mall and all of the grass to Coleman, and then beyond Coleman to the south into the trees like we've done in the past. And where we have used the parking mall across from Kieran and behind Kate Street Station or the mezzanine, that's the only additional parking lot that we would request to be able to use. And we'll put our craft vendors over there. They can use that little walk-through that's been, that is created right there. And that'll keep everybody from having to cross the main highway and get everything. Coleman would be the only street that would be closed, and that would only be on Saturday for the traffic that goes back and forth across. Like I said, live music Friday and Saturday nights until the wards. Everything on the south side of the tracks. It's always the fourth weekend in March, 24th and 25th. The way that we raise the proceeds are through corporate and local team entries. We sell food and beverage, merchandise sales, craft vendor entry fees. We always have beverages donated by Walmart, Crescent Crown Distributing now, New Orleans Original Daiquiris, food by the Piggly Wiggly. Those are some of our major sponsors that really help. We use Hammond High Pro Start kids in our food vendor, so they get involved in learning how to, being part of the whole thing, and we turn around and they're one of our beneficiaries as well back for their participation. And as always, the city has always, since we've been doing it for, this will be year 20 minus a COVID year. City's always been supportive for all 20 years, and we think we've been a good community partner. We're really the only big event for a long time in Hammond. We look forward to continuing to produce it and give back to the community. This year, another change also. Our board, we're not aging per se, but we're tired. Doing it for 20 years, and it's a good bit of work. Richard Murphy Hospice Foundation has always been one of our beneficiaries, but they're going to come on as a larger beneficiary. The two primary beneficiaries are TARC and Richard Murphy Hospice Foundation. And then we take some some smaller amounts, and we bust it up to the food pantries, Council on Aging, Tangi Humane Society, a handful of other local charities. So that's who we are, and I'd appreciate y'all's consideration for the.
All right. Anyone else from the public? Any questions or concerns from the council?
You guys are not blocking off sidewalk areas in front of buildings, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Will be just the only block, the block we'll have.
Just on your map.
Just what's on that map.
Perfect.
We won't go across Kate Street in front of Kieran. We'll stay all on the inside of that parking mall.
That's a good idea. We had some problems previously, so I'm glad to see that's not blocking off more parking than needed.
We're trying.
Yep.
Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye. Resolution number 6.
A resolution to authorize a waiver of open container for the Hammond Barbecue, Inc. on the city's property line within the boundaries of Southwest Railroad Avenue from 100 yards south of Coleman Street to West Thomas Street, Coleman Street from K Street to Southwest Railroad Avenue from the hours of 6 p.m. to 11 on Thursday, the 23rd, 3 to 11 on Friday, March 24, 2023, and from 10 to 11:30 on Saturday, March 25th, excuse me. Brian Shuri.
Same thing.
Same thing I said. Appreciate your consideration.
Anybody else have any other questions on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
The way you drew this map here, man, you might want to consider the city planner job.
Sincerely, on behalf of our board and all the charities that benefit, thank y'all very much. The city's support we couldn't do it we could not do it with what we do without the city's support. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Resolution number 7.
A resolution, 1, authorizing a grant in the amount of $1,243,201 from the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development for taxiway lighting rehabilitation, Phase 2 and 3 construction at the Hammond North Shore Regional Airport, and 2, authorizing the mayor or his designee to complete and sign related documents. David LeBeau.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
New year. I think this is the first time I've been up to see you since the beginning of the new year. This is an item off of our capital improvement plan, which you guys have seen recently. You approved back in October. Once again, the state coming through big time for us. The project is going to cost a little bit more than what they anticipated. They found that money, though, and it's got to do with material costs, labor costs, all that stuff that's increased lately for a variety of reasons. This is only about half of what we expect to get overall toward this project. The remainder of this project will be funded in the outlying years, either next year or the year after, depending on how the funds flow from the state.
Anyone from the public have a question on this item? Any questions or concern from anyone on the council? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye. Resolution number 8.
A resolution to reappoint Joe Thomas to the Hammond Airport Authority for a 5-year term ending 9/30/27. David LeBeau.
This is, Mr. Joe Thomas continues to be an asset to the airport, to the air show, and to the entire aviation community out there. He's been a huge help, and I think a unanimous choice to continue to serve, and appreciate you approving him.
You want to come up, Joe?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Joe Thomas, 145 Oak Hollow Drive, Hammond, Louisiana. It's been a great partnership. Kudos to my parish council that allows this to happen in our parish president. I think I know the airport benefits by the projects that the parish assists with, so we want to keep that partnership moving forward, because it not only does it benefit the city, it truly benefits the parish as well, what that airport offers. So barring any questions, I'm set. I'm on the bond, I'm ready.
No, I like Mr. David. Mr. David, you're not gonna have any issues with him, huh?
Not at all, sir.
Okay, then.
He's been a great asset, and we all work well together.
All right, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
And Councilman Andrews.
Aye. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Resolution number 9.
A resolution to appoint Tony Michelli to the Hammond Airport Authority for a 5-year term ending 1/24/2028. David LeBeau.
Close. Mr. Michelli, the words escape me at the moment, but he's been a member of this aviation community in Hammond for longer. Well, I would say that for longer than I've been alive, but he's not that old. It's been a long time. Tony retired from the FAA in 2015, where he worked out of the Flight Standards Office in Baton Rouge. He is still, to this day, a designated pilot examiner, meaning that when people take lessons, they want to get their license, they want to get certifications for instruments, instructor pilots, all that kind of stuff. They come to Tony, and Tony evaluates them for that. He's been a fantastic asset to the community as well. as well as to me, and with his informal advice.
Anyone from the public have a question or concern on this item? Anyone from the council?
Is he here?
He is.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Members, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I'm just honored to serve on the board. You got a pretty good asset with that Hammond Airport. I remember being on a charter trip when I was flying charter and we were in Falfurrias, Texas. And this citation came in and landed, and we went to the terminal building, and there stood Sam Walton. And he asked me if we had what town I was from, and I said, well, Hammond, Louisiana. He says, you got a Walmart there. You know why you have a Walmart? And I said, well, we need one. He said, because you have an airport and I can fly in and check my store. And that's the case with a lot of these companies. You need to have a good airport where they can fly into and check their assets. And I'd like to comment the mayor on the job he's done out at the Hammond Airport. He's been fantastic. I've seen, like I said, I've been out to the airport for the last 60 years. I've seen a lot of growth, and it's good.
Well, it's actually a compliment to you and others like you that have been in the FAA and have connections and can get things done. What I've done is just allowed you all, Dave included, to get the things done that we need to get done at the airport. But it's been through your help and your guidance for the most part. So thank you.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I like the word you said, needed, you know, and I'm saying this here. I need to see blacks, African American, however you say it, I say blacks. I need to see more blacks involved in everything going on with the airport and everything going on in Hammond. I need to see more blacks. So you said you've been here a long time. You talked to Sam Walton, so guess what? Could we see more blacks? I would like to see more blacks involved in what's going on at the airport.
Well, I've personally given several check rides to blacks. Pilots.
Julian,
Let him talk, please. Let him talk. Let him talk, sir.
So I think, I think that is happening.
Okay.
did you check out Julian Brumfield on any of his jet certifications? Julian's a local individual who's been out at the airport, and we've watched him grow, and he worked for Acadian, and now he's working for a private owner, but he's done extremely well, and he's a local young black man in the community that we're really proud of.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, I'd like to see him on these boards, since we're proud of him, let us see him. The problem is with our community, and I know it's not y'all problem, we need to see more people look like us doing jobs like this and being on the board, That's the only way we can clean it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
See, he has been out there longer than I've been alive.
Wow.
Because I'm only 45.
Oh, you look good for your age.
Believe that?
Really?
Honestly, though, Hammond has been a stepping stone place, that airport, for people from all walks of life. And, I'm thinking of examples right now. The folks that started out in Hammond, keep their airplanes in Hammond, or kept their airplanes in Hammond, took lessons there. Trooper Aaron Williams is a perfect example. He's now the chief pilot with the state police for their helicopter fleet over there, flying for them.
And we've asked Aaron to be on the board a few years back, and he couldn't do it because of the state. He didn't have time, and now they've actually shipped him to, I think he's flying out of Shreveport 4 or 5 days a week.
Right.
But Aaron was someone that we really were interested in being out on that airport board.
Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
And Councilman Divatario? I'm
Aye.
sorry. Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
All right, reports.
Dave.
Mayor.
Just a quick report. Energy is prepared to work all night if we have a storm tonight, if it turns out to be a a bad one. They've already lined everyone out and scheduled everyone in case we need them to be working to restore power tonight.
Looks like it's coming.
Council reports?
Want to keep that lineman on energy in everybody's prayers that got hurt working right around Villa West area. He was in a bucket truck and got burned, so let's keep him in our prayers throughout the month and forever, so thank you.
Any other council reports?
Yeah. You know, we agree, we disagree, and that's what we do, and it's a positive thing. And before you leave, Devon, but I don't think there's any room on this council or in this chamber for personal attacks of any of us.
Any other reports?
I just remind people of our mobile home meeting on Monday, I think.
All right.
Yep.
Could I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
That's how it.